Hello, hello. This is a good check. Everybody, I'm just testing the audio right now for the YouTube live stream. Wes, if you can just let me know if it sounds okay. So this is actually going to be for Wes in the audio room behind you. Thank you. What's that? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate everybody being patient.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you. I had to think for a second. I said it, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Tuesday. Welcome to our May Town Hall. It's great to see all of your smiling faces. So welcome, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and invite Chaplain Brenda to have our opening moment of prayer. And then our good friend Billy Torrey will come and give us an update on the Menno Haven Auxiliary. Chaplain Brenda?
Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see all the beauty around us. It's a beautiful morning in the neighborhood, and so good to be together. So let's pause and let's pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for the beauty of the nature all around us. And give us eyes to see and ears to hear the wonders that you've created, and especially to see the ways you provided for us. Lord, we thank you for bringing us through trying times and for blessing us in so many ways. May we appreciate the beauty that we have around us. Transform us in the wonders of your love. And Lord, may we experience the wonders of your grace. We thank you for this time. We come together and learn more about our community. With faith and hope, we trust in your presence with us. May we pause to seek your will, your guidance, and your wisdom. Lord, thank you for those who are here in person and those with us in the broadcast. Be with all those who will be presenting information, as well as those bringing concerns and the questions. Guide our leaders. Give us trust and confidence in them, knowing that they're working with a desire to do what is best for us and our Menno Haven community. Lord, we ask for your continued protection and your love over us. Guide us and sustain us, and grant us your wisdom. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
I lied. Oh, I didn't. Well, I did lie. I wanted to leave this picture up and just to remind everyone that, was anybody here in attendance? Did you come over to the Trout Derby? Yes? Did you have fun? I'm putting you on the spot. I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful day. But the good news is we still have trout to catch. So I just, again, want to shout out to the Shippensburg Fly Fishing Club, Ray Jones, who is a member of that club, him and some of his friends, of course, all the grounds crew, coordinated the Trout Derby. I still think the record, nobody has proven me wrong yet, is 18.5 inches, 2.5 pounds was the biggest fish pulled out. And I will also say that yesterday, the tag was pulled. Our good friend Charlotte Kreider, as a resident, won the big top prize of the $100 bill. But I still have a pack of gift cards to hand out. So keep fishing. I think some folks just thought they were only allowed to fish on Friday, but we want you to fish the trout out. So keep fishing, please. Now, Miss Billy Torrey, if you will kick us off.
This way? Okay. Good morning and welcome. It's good to see everyone this morning. I just have a few slides I'd like to go over. The first one just says, are you curious about the auxiliary? We are going to have some informal get-togethers. The dates are May 7th at 10 a.m. out at Jenny's Porch here on the Chambers Point community. May 14th at 10 a.m. At the Life Center patio at Brookview. May 21st at 2 p.m. again back at Jenny's Porch at Chambers Point. And May 28th at 2 p.m. in the Life Center patio at Brookview. This is just a real informal. If you're not familiar with what the auxiliary does, please come and learn a little bit more about us. If you're already a member, we still invite you to come, and you can help mingle with somebody that may want to learn more about the auxiliary. So you're welcome to join us for those. So now we have some fun things coming up that the auxiliary likes to do. This one is coming up next week. Thursday and Friday of next week. We have the Igloo ice cream truck, or it's more of a bus. It's blue if you've ever been out past the Igloo. My good friend Ron out there is doing some really great things. And so he is partnering with us for a fundraiser. And Team Services is also partnering with us that day. So this ice cream truck will be available to residents and team members when they are here at Chambers Point on Thursday at Jenny's Porch. Now it says Jenny's Porch, but we are actually going to have the truck parked kind of behind the Renaissance building there in those 5 spaces, but it's just a quick walk over to Jenny's Porch where you can go over and sit and enjoy your ice cream. I was originally planning to have the truck parked in the grass, but that was a little frowned upon, so that was our next solution to... Yeah, you won't miss it. It's very, very blue, so you won't miss it. And then the great thing about it is, you know, if you really like ice cream, you're welcome to come to both. You know, so you can come Thursday to Jenny's Porch, and then you can come Friday down to the Brookview Pavilion. And it'll be parked down there, sort of in one of the little round spots by the pavilion and the restrooms there, but the next section over from the restrooms. So I would just be cautious when you're in those areas. There'll probably be lots of people walking, cars driving, so just be careful when you're coming. I look for it to be a very popular event. So like I said, the great thing is that then Ron, with all of the income from it, Ron will give a portion back to the Menno Haven Auxiliary. So that's what's really great about this fundraiser. You get a treat, and the auxiliary benefits from it as well. And then here are a few other fundraising opportunities that we have in the works. Coming up in Saturday, June 14th, we're going to do our second annual pancake breakfast. Last year was the first time that we did this, and it was a great success, so we're hoping it will be successful again. The flyers for this will be coming out soon. I know our communication gal, Vicki, has been feverishly working on the flyer to get out. It'll be, again, the same basic menu, pancakes with fresh strawberries or blueberry topping. We'll have some bacon and sausage, mini muffins and fruit, of course, hot and cold beverages. And the suggested donation price for that will be $7. And again, you can bring a friend, family members. It will be open to anyone. We're still working the details out, but I believe this is a Wednesday, July 16th, is actually National Hot Dog Day. So the auxiliary thought maybe we could do something around this and have like hot dogs down at the Brookview Pavilion. And I should mention that the pancake breakfast is at Jenny's Porch. And we'll do the hot dog lunch at the Brookview Pavilion. Again, this will be, you'll pay a price for a hot dog, some cookies, chips, and a drink. And again, that'll just be income that'll come back to the auxiliary so we can fund our projects for the year. Our ever popular Smith's Chicken Barbecue will be Saturday, September 20th out at Lowe's in Chambersburg. That always is very successful with residents and the greater community coming to support us. They smell it and they pull right in and buy some chicken dinners. We just finished our spring Gene Winger ham loaf sale, but we'll do it again in the fall. So thank you to everyone that participated in that one and made it a great success. We were just a couple shy of 500 ham loaves, small and large. And I believe there was like 160 that were donated to the Cross organization, so thank you for that. Again, we'll have our seasonal gift card sale that you can buy for Christmas gifts. But just a reminder, those gift cards are always available in the gift shops, the boutique, or the Point here. And then we'll have our annual year-end appeal. So I believe that is all I have. So I'll turn it back over to Tiffany. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't going through these. That's okay. I'll catch up.
All right. Well, the good news today is that I think I don't have very many slides. Aren't you happy? Yay! But just wait till Denise gets up. All right. Just want to keep you in the loop. I know it's important to you to find out or to hear what we are doing for our team members. So this year, as we celebrate National Nursing Home Week, that's May 12th through the 16th, we have a variety of events that, again, just appreciate and show our love to our team members. So these are several of the Daily Drip is coming, Country Boy Barbecue, Scrubs on Wheels. You'll see that large van out in the front parking lot. So it's like a little mini store for our nursing staff to go in, and they have really reasonable scrub tops and bottoms for the nursing team. So I know the team really, really appreciates that. And then we go back and forth between the campuses, so it's convenient for all the team members and try to move the times around as well. And as you can see on Friday, the Igloo from 11 to 3 is on there as well as the Thursday date for our team members. So when Billy was talking about that teaming up with team services or HR, we will not be charging the team members to get their ice cream. That bill will go to our HR department. Okay. So this is a warning. Speeding days are coming. That's all I'm going to say about that. But just know that I have a radar gun in my possession. So be on the lookout here in May and the beginning of June. I will be strategically positioning myself. I'm not going to jump out behind the bushes, but it might be close to do a little speeding campaign, again, just to really encourage everyone to slow down. Slow down. And this is not just a resident problem. It is not just a team member problem. It is everybody that drives a vehicle on our campuses. You can ask my friend Denise back there. We literally chased down the Somerville guy on this campus the other week. And he came blowing through a stop sign on the other side of the Renaissance and was whipping it around. And so we lovingly had a conversation. He was actually really good at backing that truck into a really small space. And I think I complimented him on that, but I did ask him to keep the speed down on the straight stretches because we love our residents and we love our team members and we love the people that visit our communities. And again, I'm just very, very sensitive to it not taking a tragedy for us to figure it out. All right. So stay tuned for that. You'll see me out and about campaigning. Let's call it that. Okay. Event Center sound system. So this occurred at our Life Center. So it has been the perfect storm here with our sound system. So you can see that we're using portable sound systems here in this chapel this morning. We had our technology, it's very complicated. I can't even figure it out. To me, I just want to walk up, push on, and it go. Well, that doesn't happen. And we have a very technologically complicated system that touches everything at the Life Center, including the light system. But we all know when things go wrong with technology, it's a hot mess. So our system went down in the event center. We had a portable system placed in the event center. It looked sort of like this, 2 separate Bose speakers, a mixing board, and someone went into the event center, knocked over both speakers, and messed with the mixing board. So that costs money, and so which is very, very frustrating. And I don't want to be a place where we have to have cameras on every stinking inch. So I also don't know who to blame. I'm hoping that it wasn't unsupervised children. I'm hoping that it wasn't someone disgruntled or somebody just thinking they were funny. I have no clue. But I'm just asking you all for grace. As we work through the frustrations with our sound system and tech. Our tech team, they have just been rock stars to pulling it together, pulling temporary systems together to make it happen. We have things like Town Hall, we have things like IRP, we have things like Kentucky Derby events for the libraries. It's just been, life needs to continue. But when you have systems and sound systems that don't work, it's very, very frustrating. So again, we're just asking for grace for the systems, and we're asking that, and I'm having the same speech to team members and everybody else, that we just be respectful of our properties, right? Being back to that good neighbors. I don't know what happened there. But I'm not going to lay in the bushes at the Life Center to track everybody coming in and out. But if I have to, I will. But no, it's just very disappointing and causing a lot of fuss. So I want to kind of talk through here some things happening. So everyone always asks me where we're at with the properties along Scotland Road. So currently right now we are only in discussion with one homeowner for one of the homes on Scotland Road. And that home is located in the block between Northgate Commons and Northfield Drive. And I know when you say this, you're all going to go, oh yeah, it's the red brick house with the yellow light. So if you drive by Scotland Road, you'll see that. I can't remember the number right off the top of my head. but that is currently the house that we are in negotiations with to purchase. Again, all of the homes along those borders, the Scotland Road, Cornertown Road, as well as out here on Philadelphia Avenue. As they've come for sale, we want to secure them, anything that is adjacent to any of our property lines, if it's reasonable. Okay. So I introduced to you last time we were together, or maybe the time before, our 2025 stewardship initiatives. We have a lot of them, but I just want to give you some updates. The one that I've told you that keeps me up at night is our emergency preparedness and safety. So just letting you know that things are in the works. Again, we have vendors that are giving us contracts about doing overall safety assessments. We are connecting with other communities just like ours, life plan communities, talking to them about, what are comparing policies, where do they strategically place cameras, what is their training standards as well as for their teammates and for their residents. Because again, I want this to be a Menno Haven-wide philosophy of safety and situational awareness. To me, if we have an emergent situation, how many of you saw in the news last night that the town of Hanover, there was an underground fire and gas leak, right? Are we prepared for that here at Menno Haven? We have natural gas running through parts of our campuses. Are we prepared? How many of you got the beep, beep, beep across your phones or televisions last night about the flash flood warnings, right? These things occur, and God forbid we have somebody walk into the buildings that are disgruntled with a loaded weapon, right? We are not privileged here to not be susceptible to those types of things that are happening in the world, right? It can occur here. So I don't want you living in fear. It's the exact same thing like the speeding, all right? I know we speed. I speed, right? My car doesn't go 65 on the interstate, but I have to live with the consequences then if I'm speeding. But I want us to just have that philosophy of safety at the forefront. So stay tuned for that. The other piece of that is a communication platform. I keep standing in front of you and saying that everything in me, we are going to get one here. And we are going to. But it's never as easy as what I think it should be because system optimization, our systems don't always talk to each other. And I want, in my little head, I want one system. One easy, friendly user, easy to use system that can communicate with residents, but can also communicate to team members, right? I want a one-stop shop. And coordinating that with our current systems is just not that simple, but I'm not giving up yet. So stay tuned. The other area that we focused on was Menno Haven at Home. I've been transparent with you that Menno Haven at Home is not contributing to the bottom line. It is losing money as we speak. And so we need to focus on that. Many of you that live here at Menno Haven utilize the Menno Haven at Home services. We want to make sure that that is viable for the future. So looking at logistics, looking at how they run their business, what is that animal and why can't we tame it is what we're working on. So we don't have the perfect answer yet, but please know that that is still at the top of our priority list. Cost control and contract review. My friend Ryan Fritz, our CFO, is not here today. He's actually traveling for work, but this has been something that him and his team and every single department here at Menno Haven has been touching. So these are simple things like taking our current partners and vendors to task to make sure that they've sharpened their pencils and they're not taking advantage of us, that we are getting the best bang for our buck. Also utilizing rewards programs, things of that nature, and being willing and not afraid to shop around. So for example, we have been with the same liability insurance carrier for a long time. We have now switched our brokerage and our providers, and it's going to save Menno Haven a significant amount of money. We changed our workers' compensation carriers, and immediately it saved Menno Haven over $200,000 a year. Ugh, right? So every single area, there is not going to be a stone unturned where we are evaluating our contracts, holding our vendors and partners accountable, and making sure that, we really need to pay attention to waste and watching all of those areas. So all contracts and things of that nature are going to be negotiated, and we are shopping for the best price. Things that are up in the air right now are our health insurance plans for our team members. As well as we are a part of certain associations, so looking at purchasing networks, meaning that my friend Brian goes and gets the paint that we use for refurbishments and things at Sherwin-Williams. If we go through this provider network, we get an additional 5% off for going to the exact same store. Well, let's go ahead and take advantage of that 5%, shall we? So things of that nature is what we are being and feeling some urgency with. I want to talk a little bit about when I talk about waste and our Northgate building lighting situation. Again, it is controlled by software. So if you are driving around and headed through the Northgate building, I was there for a board meeting one evening and I walked out at 9 o'clock at night and every light was on like an operating room in that building. It is run by software. We are having software issues. The vendor will be here May 15th. If you were eating or dining at Chestnut Landing, the lights either had to be on all the time or they weren't on at all. And I like a good romantic dinner and some ambiance, but I want to be able to see my spoon and fork. So it was irritating for us that the lights had to be on 24/7, but Brian and his team are working hard to get the contractor, the vendor here, again, to make sure software, the only problem with software is it outlives its life. It's right like the technology that's in your car. It's like our desk phones. All of us have a phone on our desks, and they have come to end of life. It's still sitting on my desk. It has not fallen off and given up the ghost, but that whole entire system is done. And so we have to go through now and replace all of those phones, which is irritating. And it makes us question, though, how many people have phones on their desks that do not use them? Let's not replace that phone. If they are using their cell phone, let's pay attention. If software is coming to end of life, let's make sure that we aren't just replacing things to replace it. So capital expense, again, as we're managing our expenses and really wrapping our heads around our financial situations, we are on hold for any unnecessary capital expenses. But let me be clear. I know that roofing projects that were already slated to occur here on our Chambers Point community are going to continue. So you have an idea of how we rank our capital expenses, right? There's things that are musts, right, that have to happen. So if our HVAC system would go down, right, that is a must. And then there's things like our roofs. If we don't have roofs that are leaking, but they're getting to their end of their lifespan, right, we have to keep on top of that. So that drops down to number 2. And then number 3 are things that just get on my nerves that I want taken care of right away, but doesn't necessarily stop the ongoing day-to-day operations. So things like ripping out the old wallpaper down here on this floor and repainting it. Other things are going to take the priority to that of us managing the amount of capital that we have to spend. Does that make sense? So just know, and I don't want to rip through that Menno Haven is in some financial hardship. Our friend Adria is going to have some slides here giving you a financial update that is going to show that we're doing really well. But I really want us to have this idea of wrapping our heads around, our hands around our processes, how we do things, why we do it, and being a little tight right now till we learn those all. One thing that we are going to chase after is some grant funding. This is something that we are evaluating. We don't have anyone on our team that is their role is a grant writer, but there are associations and companies out there that do that for us. So we are currently negotiating with a couple to see what would be a best fit for us. But some things that we want to evaluate, of course, is solar. We have some empty ground here behind us on this campus. Is that a possibility? Who knows? Right? We have solar panels on some of our larger buildings. Can that continue to be added to help? One thing that we do know is that electric prices continue to rise, and we need to balance, right? Does the cost of solar, the panels themselves, and upkeep outweigh the cost of electric? I'm not an expert, but we need to evaluate that. We need to evaluate, is there funds out there for this emergency preparation training? Can we tap in to some funding to help us, because we are a small little city here at Menno Haven, and how can that be used to our advantage? One thing that's been clear is that if we think about a catastrophe, for you all that live in cottages, your homes are not run by a generator. So if there was a prolonged power outage, where would everybody come, right? I think worst case scenario, we're moving chairs out of this chapel and we're setting up cots and we're doing whatever we need to do. But a very large space is our life center, but that building does not have a generator. But that would be a spot that could house plenty of folks. So we're looking into if we can get some grant funding from our friends at West Penn Power to potentially help us with the cost of a generator. Looking at technology infrastructure, how many of you heard go away from cable and get fiber? Do y'all have the fiber people calling you? They call my phone all the time. There's all these things with technology and infrastructure that's out there that we know is coming for the future, and is there grant money out there that can help us get that? The other thing that is a passion of ours, and of course our board is constantly looking at, is sustainability, and this is a big thing. Right? This is, in my opinion, we would love to see if we could find some funding to have a designated employee that is their role. Right? That is assessing and managing Menno Haven-wide sustainability projects and action plans. I have a whole 3 other pages of things that we could look for, but I just want to keep that in the forefront of your mind, that these are things that we're evaluating. Okay, so I'm going to ask Adria Long, our controller, to come up, and she will brief you on our financial update.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. As Tiffany said, I'm Adria Long. I don't know that I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you, so this is a nice opportunity for me as I'm filling in for Ryan today. I do want to let you know that our first quarter financial information is attached to your agenda if you want to follow along, if you haven't already seen that. I think Tiffany really laid some nice groundwork for my presentation or my update here. I think we're starting to see some positive results come from our focus on some of these cost control measures and things like that. So I will begin with some positive results in our bond covenants. We are currently exceeding our financial performance benchmarks by pretty comfortable margins. Our debt service coverage ratio currently stands at 1.69, which is significantly higher than our required 1.2. And in addition to that, our days cash on hand is at a comfortable 310 days, which is over double our required minimum of 150 days. Turning to our operating revenue, I am happy to say that we have exceeded our budget projections by $366,000. This success does come despite maybe some challenges in our skilled nursing census days, which were running at about 8.1 days less than what our budget forecasts were. But this shortfall was overcome partially due to the success in our personal care facilities. Their census days were running about 2.8 days higher than our forecasted budget. On the expense side, we're also seeing positive results. They were favorable to our budget by 119,000. So our expenses were less by that much. Our year-to-date cost per day is currently running 172,000 versus 169,000 in 2024, which is less increase than the CMI currently. Our non-operating revenue was 94,000, which is favorable to our budget by 41,000. We are continuing to monitor our market conditions. They have not proven to be as favorable to us as in 2025 as they were in 2024. And we're particularly monitoring the impact of the recent tariffs as they could have an impact on our financial position going forward. Overall, our net assets decreased by 1.7 million, which is actually favorable to our budget by 526,000. And just to reiterate some of what Tiffany had said, as we look forward, we do want to assure you that our leadership team is remaining intensely focused on examining and monitoring our operations to limit the unnecessary expenses. The commitment to fiscal responsibility continues to be a cornerstone of our management style as we navigate the remainder of the year. That's all I had, so thank you all. And I'm going to turn it over to Roger for an operations update.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, golly. So, we come to you frequently, and we're, when we say, we're going to be transparent, that usually means that, oh, this isn't great. And it seems like recently I've come to you to tell you about things that have happened in our skilled nursing world that, have not been great. But today, I get to share some good things, and I want to be transparent about them. So recently, our Brookview Healthcare Center had their annual Department of Health survey, and they had like 5 survey members there. We had someone from the CMS, the Fed, following him, and that always makes the surveyors nervous. And so, we weren't sure how that was going to go. But ultimately, they left us with 7. They call them deficiencies. They don't say areas of improvement. They call them deficiencies. And but these were all, the way I look at them, they're very minor in nature. They are primarily documentation where we miss dotting an I or crossing a T. I'm happy to explain each and every one of these things. I'll just pull one out just as an example. When you have an ice machine, you have to have an air gap between where the drain is and the floor drain. So if the water comes up, it doesn't come back up into the ice machine. Well, they didn't think that our air gap was big enough between our drain and the ice machine. And so that's a big building. And it took them a while to find that, but they did. How many years did it take them? Well, at least 5 years. It's been that way for 5 years, but it's okay. So that's an example of one of the type of deficiencies that they cited there. And you'll see the state COVID-19 state reporting requirements. That was even an oddball thing because we're getting mixed messages on what that requirement is. One group tells us that we have to report every single case of COVID as it comes up, and the other entity tells us that we have to report the beginning case, and then we have to tell them when the outbreak is over. And they can't even agree on that, but they cited the deficiency. So the surveyors that surveyed us did mention that they are citing an average of 20 deficiencies per survey right now. So it's actually an average of 10 in the state of Pennsylvania And for us to come up with these 7, I feel like that's a solid B, so we'll take that. And then they immediately left Chambers Point, or the Brookview Healthcare Center, and went over to Chambers Point same week and conducted their survey there. And as you can see, we had a total of 4 citations there, which is really, really good. I can't remember the last time that that was the case. But again, as an example, they noticed a wheelchair. We had a wheelchair there that was, one of the residents has challenges eating, and the wheelchair gets food on it. And they noted it on one day. They came back the next day, and it was still there and still hadn't been cleaned. And so they cited that, as they should. I think that that's a legit deficiency. But for it to actually be, not care related, we're really happy with that. And again, they cited that same state tag that we're kind of confused about. But I'm happy to report that at Chambers Point, they get a solid A for their annual citation. And this will indeed help their 5-star ratings if you all follow those. So it'll be another month or 2 before those get posted on the CMS site, but we're very happy about that. So if you get a chance to see any of the Chambers Point team upstairs, tell them good job. So how many of you went to the special movie showings of Still Dreaming in the theater? Okay. For those in TV land, we've got about 8 or 9 hands raised. So, our friend here in Chambers Point resident, Henry Hopper, had suggested that we might be interested in that movie after having heard about our To Whom I May Concern initiative, which again, is still in its infancy, but we are looking at developing a reader's theater format where people who are experiencing some cognitive changes get to talk about how it's impacting their lives in a positive or negative way. I mean, it's probably not real positive, but certainly there are accommodations that people make, and we are hoping that we are going to be able to, bring cognitive changes more into the light and to try to destigmatize that. So we have a group that is working on that as well. We had about 25 people that joined us for a little round circle conversation after the showing yesterday afternoon, and again, I think it was a really stimulating conversation. It's amazing that the residents, the insights, the talents that they have and that they're sharing, and we look forward to more opportunities for everybody to be sharing those things. So, what I think we're going to try to do another special showing of a movie. I don't know if any of you have seen the Glenn Campbell documentary, I'll Be Me. That was released in 2014, but it's a very powerful story that Glenn Campbell shared his journey, and I'm not going to be a spoiler, but if we show that, I would encourage anyone to join that for us. So thank you to the team and to Gene Shelley and for Henry Hopper for kind of putting that in front of us. And then I want to talk just a little bit about Branch Creek Place. You all know that Branch Creek Place is the senior center in Shippensburg that we sponsor, and I really appreciate your efforts because your help in eating all of those eggs at all of our dining venues, my goodness, they raised $10,069 in profit this year, and that's a dedicated. It's a very dedicated group of members that spend hours in their sweatshop creating those eggs and those pretzels because they really take ownership of that center, and they appreciate everything that we do for them. But these are a few of the volunteers that spent countless hours. So It's a really cool environment. If you haven't had the opportunity to visit Branch Creek Place, I would encourage you to do so. Also, they did request that I put out a little shout out of a request that if any of you are interested in volunteering at Branch Creek Place to assist with their Meals on Wheels program, they are in need of volunteers Monday through Friday. You don't have to go every day. But if you're available between 7:30 and 11:30 a.m. to help them package up some of the, 60 meals, 50, 60 meals. I don't know how many that they distribute on a daily basis, but there's quite a few, as well as they have a meal for the members there at the center. So if you want to reach out to Diana Nazario, that's her phone number, or you can just reach out to me and let me know, and I would certainly put you in touch with Diana. But it is a...
Maybe clarify that there's actually 2 volunteer opportunities there. Early morning, 7:30, come in, do the kitchen, the food comes, you don't have to prep it, it's just packaging. And then later in the morning, another crew of volunteers show up to actually do the deliveries. And routes are mapped out. They're very strategic on how the route goes, and then you bring the coolers back and you're done. So two separate opportunities there.
Thanks for the clarification. No, it's good. I know Diana's specifically really wants help in the kitchen, but I know that they would take some drivers as well. So for more information, let me know. I'd be happy to share with you. Tiffany's definitely knows. She's been out there for a long time, and Diana would let you know how to volunteer as well. So thank you very much. I think I'll turn this show over to our friend Denise Ingram.
Oh, they have the paper up here for me. That's good. Good to know. It says my name on it. So I have some community updates. First, we're going to talk about Franklin Square Commons. That is the neighborhood that's across from the rehab center on Scotland Road. Menno Haven, as you know, has purchased and owns 3 of them. The first one, the residents sold their property to us and decided to remain there. And so we have Menno Haven residents living at 404 Benjamin Drive. 414 was the first unit that we purchased over there, and we've done a refurbishment on it. And the marketing team is currently working on getting that information out and marketing it to, we always start with team members, team member families, anyone who's a retiree, and then we go through our Now Club. So there's always priority that we go through whenever we're offering something new. And 403 Deborah Court is the third one that we own. I am in the process, actually, Jim McFern and I are going there tomorrow, and we're going to look to see what we need to do to get it Menno Haven ready for marketing to external prospects. And then this week, I got an email from someone who said, hey, I am the executor of an estate, and we have a unit. Are you interested? So we're working through some of that right now. So all in, we may end up with 4, but right now we have 3, one of which is occupied, and 2 we're getting ready to market. You'll also notice on Scotland Road, 2305 Scotland Road is the address. That is our next villa that we are constructing. So you'll see some equipment on there. There's a fence around the property. And site work and foundation work has been beginning. I think I heard we're going to have concrete by the end of the week, weather permitting. Obviously, with last night's storms, that might impede us a little. I haven't heard yet. But we will be meeting with the contractor next Thursday to firm up what that timeline looks like. But we are anticipating that it will be a fall 2025 move-in or ready date. Residents of our Northgate apartment on the 3rd floor are getting a refresh. We are in the process of lightening up the paint colors. We're giving a painted door with white trim just to give it a little bit of a facelift. That on wing 1, which is the short wing, as you come in to the building to the right on the 3rd floor, that was the first one that we did. We wanted to get kind of a feeling of what is the scope of the work that needs to be done, because out of an act of stewardship, our team is actually doing the work. So we will be communicating what we've learned and what that timeline looks like with other residents who live on that 3rd floor of the building. I'm going to go to my notes here for just a second. Okay. My next update is for Brian Garber. So I'm putting on my Brian Garber hat right now. Well, now we're going to talk about water and power washing. No, but in cooperation, we've gotten some notification about, we haven't had a lot of rain until last 2 days. We've gotten a lot of rain, right? But there's been some guidelines about water conservation by the borough and by Guilford Water. So we are being good neighbors and participating by not participating in doing anything that uses too much water. So as power washing requests from residents come into the maintenance department, they are putting them on a list, and it will be reevaluated perhaps in June as things get better, and then they will work through the schedule of getting the power washing done for residents. Okay? So go ahead and put your requests in, but you're going to go on a little bit of a wait list, and that's because we're in cooperation with government guidance. Back in January, we held focus group meetings with residents who raised their hands and said, I have some interest in providing you with details and information on what I think about the leisure coordinator department. In those meetings, we kind of structured them so we wanted to know what you like about the activities, events, and trips that you're currently are being offered through leisure coordinators. During those meetings, we also gave the residents a magic wand to make suggestions to us. And then we discussed some scenarios that are currently happening within the leisure coordinator department, and we requested some feedback about transportation and communication specifically. When we entered these groups, the goal was to reimagine the leisure coordinator department, and we were pleased to come out with key areas to focus on. Residents noted to us that there are a lot of things that they really loved about how the current leisure coordinator program and offerings ran. But after reviewing all of the comments and conversations that we had with the residents participating in the focus groups, it was clear that we needed to prioritize within the department. Based on what we heard, it was agreed that we felt we needed to put an emphasis on maintaining and increasing resident participation and satisfaction so that we are addressing all independent living residents. Those who are frequent flyers, meaning you go on a lot of stuff, we can always count on a seat for you, the occasional participants, and then there was a lot of conversation that we had on finding ways to be appealing to people that we don't see that often. So I thought it was great that all of the focus groups pointed that out. It's like sometimes I don't even see neighbors that I know live next door to me. The other thing that came out was how concerned the residents are for the well-being of our leisure coordinators themselves. We talked at length about burnout because if you know Billy Torrey, she fills in for everything. There are days or weeks when Lynette has been here 7 days and going strong into the next week. And so we talked a lot about what does work-life balance look like for this team, how many events should we have, what would feel comfortable. And then residents actually said that you have so much going on that sometimes it's difficult for me to choose what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. For example, we were at, where were we yesterday? Lancaster. We were at Lancaster shopping on Monday, If we turned around on Tuesday and we had something at the event center, it's like, I'm tired, I just want to have a minute. So we talked at length about those kind of things. And I think what we came out with was we felt like 2 or 3 major things a week, and then we'll look at some organic kinds of things. Because then we talked about quality over quantity, and we asked, how that should look. Many residents then noted that they thought that we did a really great job of planning off-campus events and trips for people to participate in. But again, that came back to saying, can you do more things on campus for us? We want to encourage that more organic life to happen and boost all residents to participate. And then finally, we talked about transportation. Because we're asking our leisure coordinator to be your tour guide and to plan everything out for you. But then we're also saying on the other side of that, you're the driver. And sometimes the places that we take you have very congested parking, highways that are a lot to navigate, and knowing that you have a lot of people's lives that you are responsible for. So we talked a lot about that, and we're wrestling around with some things, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we also talked about communication, and we are all over the board with communication, as you know. Some people want it in print, some people want it on the resident portal, some people want it to be more interactive. There was a lot of conversation about this, and we just know we need to find a way and be more nimble with what it is that we're going to offer. And then we gave the magic wand. The magic wand. Our residents did not disappoint us. You came very prepared with ideas. The things that you're seeing on the screen are just a few of the highlights, and some of them were things that were across all 4 of the focus groups. It is clear that we have a very engaged group of independent living residents here at Menno Haven, and that our leisure coordinators have already set the bar very, very high for your expectations. I remember whenever most of you have come through the marketing department with me, I always have promised you that we will give you a lot of choices of things to do, and that every day you'll go home tired because you've had fun. That's my favorite thing to tell people whenever they're on their way in. So one thing that I do want to point out, and we pointed out to the focus groups, was this idea of suggestions, because I love that everyone here has so many suggestions on what we can do, where we can go, and the list goes on. But a lot of times when that information comes to us is when we are actually in an event. And so I'm hearing it, but I'm doing, right? I'm doing something over here. I'm helping that. Oh, yeah, da. So if you have that kind of conversation with a leisure coordinator or Billy or me, please follow that up with either an email to us, maybe a voicemail message in our phone back at our desk, because that translation between where I was here and when I get back to my desk, I may miss something. So we do want to hear from you. That's really important to us, because that's kind of our report card on how well we're doing. The other thing that was really apparent was that our calendars sometimes look like they were not real well coordinated. So we're looking into that. But the other thing is that most of the things that we're not planning this week for next week. We're planning 12, 15, 18 months in advance so that we can get a good solid cadence and have good offerings for you. So sometimes we say, hey, can we go do this next week? Well, that would be great, but maybe it's going to conflict too much with something else we have going on. But we do want to hear from you, so I just want to make sure that that's very, very clear. But sometimes whenever we say, well, I'll put that in the suggestion box, okay? So what do we have in progress right now, and what are some of the things that have been happening over the past couple months? We've talked about the birthday lunches, but I always like to keep, birthdays happen every month, so we're going to keep saying that. Now you will find where the birthday lunches are being held in Haven Connect and on the resident portal. If it's your birthday month, just RSVP to a leisure coordinator. This has really helped free up the department because we're not creating invitations anymore. We don't have to print them out, so it's saving us money with that and the labeling and then the actual delivery of the invitations. So we want to celebrate your birthdays. We want you to feel special because birthdays are a special time. But that has been quite the time saver for us and has allowed us to do some other things that allow us to plan a little bit better. The other thing that has happened is we heard that the 1421 at the point when we have brunches there, that those time slots didn't work when people went to church. So the team has already worked with culinary and gotten those times adjusted so that we have better seating. And then we also heard have more bingo. So now we have bingo 3 times a month. We have it at the Wren, we have it at Northgate, and we have it at the Life Center. So those are things that are already kind of in the works. But what else are we working on? We're always working on something. The first thing we're working on is interviewing to add a leisure coordinator. Right? Have we made a selection yet, Billy? Nope, we're close. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. But we've had some good candidates. We've had some good conversations. And so that's high on our priority list of making sure that we get that position filled. We are reviewing and refining the monthly calendars to be sure that we aren't colliding with things, because sometimes culinary has their own events, and so we're looking at that a little bit more. But we feel like a communication tool will help us to get to that a little bit better. We are looking at transportation with a fine-tooth comb right now. We are looking at if a trip is 2 hours or more out, we're looking at probably contracting on that. And the groups told us that they felt that a $20 or $25 fee to secure that transportation made everybody go, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So we're looking and wrestling around with that a little bit. Highly sought after destinations. We're going to start planning better on the front side. We know what you guys like. If we're planning a trip that we think is going to be highly sought after, we're going to go ahead and put the transportation in up front. So rather than at the last minute, because some of the times that's what happened. It's like, oh, we're going on Menno Haven buses, and now all of a sudden it's like we're changing. So we want to get that planning piece really, really fine-tuned. The other thing that we're looking at is when leisure coordinators put a trip out there or an event activity that's off campus and they're having to pay for a ticket. When you RSVP to that, that's guaranteeing you the ticket and your seat on the bus for that, which prompted this whole idea of what happens when people need to cancel. So we don't have an answer on that today, but we're talking about what does that look like? What should it look like? And then this whole idea, because sometimes you purchase your own tickets and just ask us for a ride. And so we're trying to figure out what is a good balance in that. And more communication will be coming out as we get a little bit further along with that. Like I said, our job here is to help you guys have a lot of fun, and that's what we want to do. And then the final thing that we're talking about is this whole idea of communication. One of the things that you'll see starting to happen, and I think we're getting a lot better at it, in the Haven Connect, we're giving you more expanded explanations of what a trip or event is. We're also, when possible, we are putting in the website so that you can get more information. If it's a music genre, we're telling you what type of music it is, because I don't know what some of the bands actually play. And then also, if it is a trip, we're trying to tell you whether it's easy, moderate, or a difficult terrain so that you can make good choices for yourself on what it is you want to participate in. So some of that has already started to occur, but it will be refined, and we're going to continue that. We have challenged any off-campus trips for our leisure coordinator to actually go before the trip is advertised, because we want to make sure that we have a right cadence in the amount of activity, the strenuous versus not, and we want to make sure that it's just a good experience all around. So we are encouraging that to happen now because we want you to have positive experiences. And then communication tool. Everybody has their own preference on how they like to get information. So this is, I think, Menno Haven wide, we are trying to figure out what is the best way that we move forward with communication, whether it's an app or software or something else. We just thank you for your patience as we work through that. And I think my slides are almost done. So I just want to thank everyone who participated, for your patience, for your guidance, for your support. It's very, very helpful to us. And I think, Chuck, you're next. I'll turn on these. Do you need these pieces? Okay. I'm going to try to get you caught up. All right, you're caught up. Thanks.
Good morning. You know, I have the toughest spot. They've always put me last. Now, I don't know what that means, but I try to think positive, Ed, okay? But I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. And as all the other speakers today, I want to keep that spirit of transparency. And there's a lot going on here. I don't want to give Denise's again. Oh, I did it right for the first time. Okay, these are just some of the goals. It's like when Tiffany started to go over our goals, which the executive team meet every week, I leaned over to Denise and I said, she ain't going to cover them all, is she? She covered about 5. We probably have about 20. And which are great, but thank you. You know, the Benevolent Fund is so important to us. It was founded when Menno Haven opened its doors 60 years ago, and it is the envy of so many CCRCs across the country. And thank you for your support. We put a goal about $775 to raise. We did about that amount last year. Then we have the Mahee Fund, which is, I'm finally learned this, the Menno Haven Employee Appreciation Fund. And thank you for your support. You know, last year you contributed about $197,000, which we divided between all our team members except for the executives and directors. And they truly appreciate it. Now, we finally got IRS approval and first of the year, so they're tax deductible. And our first quarter was probably the most successful we've ever had. Most people were waiting till the end of the year, naturally. But since we don't allow you to gift the team members, this takes the place of that. And because so many of you ask all of us, said, no, you can't do it. But we've got the Mahee Fund. The Care Fund you can give to. We have what's called PTO days, paid time off, and you can only get 300 hours. If you go over it, I lost 15 hours last week if you don't use them. That money equivalent to your pay is put in there. You can, the team members also give money, and residents, and that's we have team members. You know, it's tough today for about everybody that maybe they can't pay their electric bill, they can't pay their mortgage, and they come to us and we have a committee and we help them with this fund. Hope House, I'm glad to say it's done. It was a lot of fun, but it was a challenge for a year to build the thing, and it took residents, Habitat with Humanity, team members all participated, and we raised the money. In fact, tomorrow we're having lunch with Mark Story, who runs Habitat, and we're going to give him a check for that amount. And the team members are in there. We also had a couple months earlier, a team member got a Habitat house. We had a number approved, and they put them on the list to get houses, and the rest of them will get houses down the road. So it was, a lot of friendships were made, and it's the kind of project, it just makes you feel good. And all other foreign funds, 100,000, but it'll probably be more than that because so many people think of things that they want, so we do them. The dog park, what we've been doing, if you have a dog, you know what I mean here. Of course, everybody knows I just love dogs. We did raise the $20,000. They wanted a gazebo because about 4 o'clock every day on nice weather, they have a party down there, and there are quite a few. We did raise the money. We also raised the money to kind of extend 20 feet out and 20 feet wide to put the gazebo because a number of the dog owners didn't want to lose any space for the dogs. So we figured it out, and that should be here by mid-June. There's 7 benches inside, and before we even put the word out, rather than 3 sold, already have 5 have been sold, and I'm doing one in memory of my dog. So 2 left, if you want one. As you can see there, the village square landscaping, as you enter from the pavilion there to go back to the lake, that needed done, and had a resident came in and said, hey, if you do it and do it nice, I'll fund it, and she did. Also, I get so many people coming in, residents and team members that need some, so I restrict a little bit money that I can use for stuff like that. And the pool table the felt was torn again. And so this time we're replacing it, but we're getting a hard top to put over it. So that should protect it. And then had a resident call 2 weeks ago and many of you probably haven't seen it, but at Northgate, and all of you can use it, in the middle is a courtyard. And there's a gazebo in there. And they have parties in there too. We're partying people, I tell you. And he called me and said, I want 7 side tables. And I said, sure. And the thing is, it's like my children and grandchildren, they figured out, I don't know the word no, and everybody's figured that out here. But that's okay. Some things we're looking at, and I'm not saying we're going to do them, but had a number of requests for at the pool here. The problem is there's about 5 different entrances, and those doors are heavy, and I have a resident here that said she would pay for automatic door openers. Now that may sound easy, but just an opener. Now this isn't with a card reader. If a card reader was on it, it'd be a lot more. $15,000. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I'm talking to her, see what she wants to do, because there's about 4 other doors. Because, see, this is for people might have a cane, might have a walker. And I know for me, those doors are hard to open. So we're looking at doing things there and seeing if we can cover every door. I had someone come to me, well, actually Jim, the project manager, and say, Chuck, the dock's going to fall in over there. He said, can you get some money, about $7,000 to replace it? They started on the day. And we're trying to use, when we get to gazebos and everything, to use this polywood that'll last forever. They started on that today. So they will be replacing the flooring and everything. We also were working with a group of ladies from, they were Penn Hall School girls, students, and they wanted to do 2 benches in memory of one of their classmates. We have those, and they'll be going on there. Now, believe it or not, last month I had a resident come every day. I never know what's going to happen. She said, let's get a new nativity scene for in front of Menno. I was thinking, isn't it a little bit early? But we talked about it, and we got on the computer, and we found some. So I said, I'll put it on my calendar for October. So I did. 2 weeks later, another resident came in and said, we need one at Chambers Point and at Brookview. And she says, let's start looking. And she said, I'll fund it. I said, well, good, we'll get them then. So, but Tiffany wants real people. Well, we're going to get cut out and then one with real people. Whatever. We'll find them. Now, the next is, it's going to be a big project. We haven't, I think Allie's working on laying it out, but we want to replace all the furniture there. It's been there 5 years, and outside takes a beating, especially their cushioned furniture. We want to do it with polywood, and so it's up to you, but I'll probably put an outreach, but it is getting very popular there to build fires. It's the Life Center's open longer. You can get food, and we're going to put some high top tables out there, and it's going to be nice. So you'll be hearing more about that. This is, again, the Hope House. You know, we had the celebration, the dedication, ribbon cutting, whatever it may be, in the event center. We had about 150 people about 2 weeks ago, and it really was a great time. And spiritual care, that area reports to me because they pray a lot for me to reach my goals, and they're good, I'll tell you. And the four of them are great, and this is another thing that sets Menno apart. And have a lot going on. If you haven't been to Grounded yet, team members go, residents. I've been a couple times. When you leave there, you feel pretty good. Talks about life and experiences, and everybody helps each other. Okay, the scholarships. We used to have 4, but 2 of them paid out. And so we have the Elaine Shepard, who was a resident here a number of years ago. It was for team members that wanted to continue their education in healthcare. And that is still funded, and the family has agreed to broaden it to include not only Chambers Point, but Brookview, and there are enough funds there. So we're receiving applications now. And then we have the Kermit and Anna Hick Meals Fund that was set up for a child or a grandchild of a team member. Now, we've had them as low, I think one last year was approved in 8th grade, so we got to hang on that money for a while to go to college. But they have to write an essay, and it's a competition, so that's going on. The other thing, dog park, again, we're going to be changing the code about time, and those of you that have an application, we will be notifying you. And those of you that just want to sit on the gazebo, you don't have a dog but want to look at them, I'll tell you what, if you personally call me, I'll make sure you get a code. I won't tell you now because I don't know what it is. And keep sending in those applications. Now, I always like to put a little humor, but I had another birthday on March 21st. I mean, I really don't want to celebrate them. I want to keep getting them because you know what happens if you don't get them. And Allie called about 10 of the dog owners and their dogs. And I was sitting at my desk about 10 o'clock, and all of a sudden, all these dogs come in. They're on my desk. They're under my desk, on my couch. I was a little surprised, but it was great. And I keep a bucket of dog bones in there, and they ate about every one of them. But we all had a good time. But I think that's another thing is special about Menno. And we'll soon be getting out. Allie, you told me to remind them, let them know the newsletter, our newsletter is coming out. And I have a lot about other things that are going on. So thank you for all your support, and have a great day. And I think it's relatively nice out there.
All right, this is your opportunity. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or demands, we'd like to open it up to the audience.
The building on the right-hand side as you go out, Horst, is owned and was occupied by 2 families. It's now vacant, so what's the status there?
We are currently going in and cleaning to potentially use as a rental for Menno team members. But it needs a lot of work. Garber is back there begging me to tear it down.
I'm from the Renaissance.
Yes, ma'am.
And my comment has to do with your talk about conserving energy. I would like to know why the halls during the night have to be lit up like Broadway. You've got lights in the ceiling, you've got lights along the side, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, not many of us are wandering those halls. Is there a way to either tone down the wattage or whatever you call it, Or is there a way to maybe turn out one set and only have the other set on? But do something. This is ridiculous. What a waste of energy.
Yes, I agree. And that's something that is right up there with that priority. When we talk about waste and energy, again, we need to get away from manual processes, right? We can't have Diane leaving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and shutting all the lights off, right? That's not appropriate. Yeah, turn it off. You know, and I will tell you that, you know, I'm a bit of the light pounder too, because I'm a lot of times the last man out at the Life Center. And if you're in the admin wing, things are motion censored. And so I walk through before I go out the door. And if it's taking too long in my mind for the motion sensor light to go off, I pop in. So there are several offices that you walk by it and the light turns on, and I just cannot walk out the door with the light on. So I shut them all off. And so that's what I'm talking about when we're talking systems and processes. I agree with you. To me, we have to balance. There will be a night when the fire alarm goes off at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And so we do need to have safety. And can we, with the technology of today, I mean, my goodness, right? That when the fire alarm goes off, the light should automatically come on, right? Just like the elevator automatically goes to the first floor and locked doors are released from their magnetic locks. That same concept should be in all of our buildings, honestly. And, you know, is there things with motion? If you've been upstairs to the first floor of the manor, you know, we're ripping out floors, we're rearranging the micro market area, calling it the corner market. And, you know, one of the first things that came up is we need this light to be motion censored, right? That this light should not be on in this micro market, the light in the center, when nobody's in there, right? But it has to be awesome enough that I don't have to, there is a secret room in the Life Center that is our storage cages, all right? It's the back of the house. You need your badge to get into it. We don't hold anything crazy in there, so I'm not sure why it's so secure. But when you walk in, wherever the motion sensor is, I was in there by myself, the door shut, and I'm like this. You know, and I'm moving from side to side because it is pitch black. And I'm thinking, oof, right? Like, this is too much. It's that balance. So just like that, your building, our other buildings. I have a gentleman that I'm sure is going to be at the afternoon town hall who is writing down every time one of our outdoor lights is not going off when the sun's on. Because that's irritating when we have a bad eye and the light's not going off. That's complete total waste of energy. So please know that that is something we are looking at. And that's why I'm really trying to find in our budget or with some grant money to get that employee that this will be their focus. How do we master our communication so we don't print communications that go in your mailbox on one-sided and then the next day we send out another one? Ugh. Right? When it could have been one notification. I'm looking at you, Jeremy. I got one notification and it can be front and back, but that means we're coordinating with auxiliary, culinary, leisure coordinators, maintenance and grounds when they have something to come out, things happening. I mean, so there's a lot of hands in the pot, and we have to figure out resources, technology, something that we are efficient. So maybe that needs to be the title of that person, the efficiency dictator. I don't know. But, you know, absolutely. You are absolutely right. It irritates the living daylights out of me, for sure. I think the lights in the Life Center, they are motion censored, and eventually it goes out. But that building is locked down from 8 to 8. Even the lights that are left on there for whatever reason don't need to be on. Don't need to be on. We have to be more nimble than that.
Is there some way for the residents that are along the creek to be notified when there are outside groups that are using the Edwards Park area and coming in? Last Friday there was all kinds of activities there, ATVs going through, and
Who were they?
I have no idea.
Oh, Fish and Game was in there? Yeah. They didn't tell us. Yeah.
We were just curious what was going on, had no idea whether they.
Yeah, so for those in TV land, Brian was in the back saying that we were not notified, and I think until they got here, then somebody questioned, hey, what are you doing here? And of course, with the Conica jig, Fish and Game are they're gonna trump us. So yeah, if they make us aware, we are going to notify you. But if we are not aware, then we're catching up just like you are. Rachel?
On your thing with paper, twice this past month, we got notifications in our mailbox, and 2 days later, we got the Haven Connect with the same exact thing in the Haven Connect.
And do you remember what were those notifications? Who are they from?
The one might have been the auxiliary ice cream truck flyer.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
think so.
You're fired,
and
Billy.
I don't remember what the other one was.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be helpful to me if you can remember specifically, because
Okay.
to me, to push it out, I could send a Menno all users, that's 650 employees, who sent out flyers. I agree. If you bring it to me or shoot it to me when it occurs, that would be, it's like what Denise said. In an event, and you're in the middle of the event, and you're focusing on where everybody is, and then somebody comes up with a suggestion about something for 2 weeks from now, my brain can't always keep it straight. If you got that in the second that you're like, ugh, this doesn't make sense, shoot me that email so I can keep it at the forefront of my brain.
Then I have two other quick comments. We already have a nativity scene in front of the Renaissance, so I'm curious as to why we need another one.
Because I think we lost Joseph or broke Joseph or baby Jesus was missing an arm. I mean, there was some catastrophe that occurred. So it's a hodgepodge together nativity scene is my understanding, that it needs to be, my understanding is that set is no longer available, that we can just go out and buy Joseph. So now we have different things put together, and you know how I am. I want it to be consistent.
And the other thing I just wanted to say that I went to the trout derby. I don't think anybody else here did, but it was really fun.
It was
I
fun.
fed the fish.
Yeah.
I only caught one because there was one of the the trout and fly.
Yeah,
what-
Fly Fishing Club gentlemen were there. Mhm.
Yeah, they had put lines out for a man next to them because he wasn't catching anything. And so they just had their lines out in the water, and he went to the bathroom and never returned.
Oh.
So all of a sudden, one of their lines was going around the lake. So he came over and he handed me the fishing rod. I said, I already have one. He said, take this one. So I reeled in this really large fish.
Nice.
And the food was good too.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're going to try to make the Trout Derby an annual thing. This lake here at Chambers Point is actually be much better, just wider size-wise. But the convenience of Friendship Pond being flat, and I cannot tell you, and I will have to get some more pictures posted. There is a picture of Mr. Garber in the back, one of our team members, Kelly, from the Brookview Healthcare Center, and a resident, Mr. George. The sheer joy on his face. Best day ever. I'm not sure why I'm emotional. But, the story of the Trout Derby is that the grounds gentleman, I can be tough. I know it. I have very high expectations. So I know a lot of times that team members see me come in and run. But then there's other times that they seek me out. And this gentleman reached out to me and said, hey, I've had this idea and I've been told no time and time again. And I'm like, well, tell me, what is it? And he said, I want to have a trout derby here. And I went, yes. And he goes, well, you didn't even hear. And I'm like, we'll figure it out. Yes. Right? I know people will come and I know they'll have a good time. And so, we gathered everybody together. It took a village, but I'm not going to lie, I was super proud on Trout Derby Day. And my dream of seeing the pond surrounded and outlined with residents and team members happened. I rode that high all day. I'm not going to lie. It was beautiful. And the interaction, and I don't even touch fish. That's disgusting. But people were touching fish, catching fish, filleting fish, doing all these things. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful day. We had a whole van load of folks from Elder Day come over. And the beauty of it is people caught fish, right? How many times have you gone fishing and you've caught nothing? I went on a whole sea fishing trip in Florida and everybody else on the boat caught tons. Me, zip. So to watch people just continue to catch fish and the joy that was on everyone's faces, the fellowship, the hanging out in the pavilion, and then the team members were on the countdown. As soon as the residents got out, right, 3:00, we're out there. And I stopped in a couple times over the weekend, real early Saturday morning, and there was some team members out there in the rain, and it was just best day ever. So I said the word. I said Trout Derby, right up there with Cardboard Boat Race, and Menno Has Talent. It's my favorite days. So if you missed out, we're hoping to make it an annual event. I really encourage you to come next year. Other things on my Ed.
I have a quick comment. It's a compliment to our facilities here. Jane and I, we live in Florida in the wintertime, and we visited one of the retirement communities that a lot of people from our community go to. So we went there and spent a day. When we were done, we were just saying how happy we had this community.
Aw.
And how great it looks.
Thank you.
The way it's manicured and the whole atmosphere, it was just like we are blessed.
Oh, thank
we
you
are
for
blessed. And we are financially blessed by what we pay.
Yeah, yeah.
Trust me. And you might want to complain about it, but you go somewhere else and see what their monthly fees are, and you go, whoa.
Whoa, right. We are a great value here at Menno Haven. And again, that's why you're going to hear that urgency in my voice and my philosophy of, we need to maintain that value. And as team members and organizational wide, that's why I am really boot on the neck of making sure that we're controlling that expenses. Because bottom line, if we're not controlling the expenses, you pay for it. So I can't in good, clear conscience come in front of you and talk about, expenses and raising rates and all those things if we are not being diligent on managing the expenses that you all have to carry.
And we are being told that when you go there, you are, I don't know if it's required, but very highly recommended that everybody must do their share in volunteering.
Oh.
And they don't get anything for that.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
Well, my friend Billy will give you lots of things if you volunteer.
I can make it mandatory for you if you
Yeah,
want me
I say,
to.
I bet she's like, Other things on your mind. We're at that hour-and-a-half mark. I know I've kept you long enough.
What is the status of the ramp going into the Renaissance?
The status of the ramp going into the Renaissance is that we are, because of the scope of work, struggling to find a contractor that will take the bid. But we're not giving up. Right? We had everybody fighting over the little addition of concrete that's occurring out here at this door, because that's an easy job. So if you walked in down here, you'll see that there's some folks. We're just extending out just a little portion of concrete here in the courtyard for our Elder Day folks. Again, if you want to talk about things that make me happy, nothing makes me happier than when I come around the corner to walk down to my office and every seat is taken in the courtyard in these nice summery fun days and spring days from our Elder Day folks enjoying some sunshine in a safe environment. So they just needed a little more space, a little more squared off space for chairs and things of that nature, so we're not all just sitting in a row. All right. You know, I can't handle the awkward. Well, thank you all for coming. We'll hang out afterwards if you're not comfortable speaking out in the group. Enjoy your day.